It's popping now. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Ken Johnson. So today we're going to be making popping corks. Now you can buy popping corks if you want to. They run about $10 a piece at the store the other day. I'm going to show you a way that you can make them very cheap and affordably. Stay tuned. I was in a sporting goods store the other day, and I was going to buy me a popping cork. They have one very similar to this, and they wanted $11. And I'm like, you can definitely make these cheaper than you can buy them. So that's what I decided to do. I'm going to show you how to take these very cheap, inexpensive corks. Now this is a little bit bigger, but you can get them in different sizes. I would say go with the biggest that you can find. These are a little smaller, so I like this one for demonstration purposes and also usage. But I mean, these run like, I don't know, I've already been using out of this 4 for like $1.50 or something like that at Walmart, so they're cheap. Most people use wire. Wire is common. You don't have to. If you have the stuff to make your own leaders, this leader material here that's coated, you can use that with swivels and all that, but I'm trying to show you how to do it without that. So what we're doing is, you can tell how old this is. This is old packing line, but this is 30-pound test braid right here, and that 30-pound test braid, what I like about it is that it has a 8-pound test diameter. So what we're going to do, we're going to pull this off, and we're going to get a length of line, I'd say about 2 foot. You don't need 2 foot. We definitely won't use all 2 foot, but something to do. Have some good scissors. But this is something that you will need. From there, we're going to need some various beads. I bought this at Walmart. These are pony beads. I got them for like, I don't know, $2. And I can use these to make, well, there's 500 pieces. I can make hundreds of these popping corks out of pony beads. I bought these swivels here. This right here is 50, and I think I paid like $2. Tsunami tackle. So these are like some heavy duty swivels, so they can handle any redfish, anything of that nature. So again, I can get about 25 popping corks out of this. Walmart had a sale on these beads here. I paid, I want to say like 30-something cents a pack. I bought every one that they had. And these are 2 different sizes of acrylic fluorescent beads. So we'll use those. And this right here, you can tell I've been getting into that. $1.25 at Dollar Tree. These are glass beads. And so I've been using them like crazy. And you get a ton of beads, so you can make a ton of corks. And then finally, I've got some number 4, size 4 washers. And I paid 17 cents a piece. I got 8 of them. Just for demonstration purposes, so we got that, and then of course we'll use some super glue as needed. All right, so I got some Dollar Tree super glue. This is original super glue, and first thing you do is just take this peg out and save the peg. you can always use additional pegs, so keep that right there, and we'll go ahead and set up the super glue. Alright, first thing to do is put some super glue right at the edge of this right here. And you want a good bit of super glue there, so that, because you're dealing with some very small little washers here. And just place them over the opening like that. Let's sit and cure, and then do the other side. And if you need it to cure faster, you can just take your breath and kind of blow on it, because super glue, it cures with moisture. And so that it'll hold good there. Do the other side. There we go. While we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and do these other three here as well, so that we got all these ready to go. Alright, I did notice something with these. It's hard to get the camera to show it, but this orange one here, totally fine. You can see all the way through it right there. This yellow one is blocked. Same way with this pink one, it's got some blockages. In that case, I love drink straws. I use them for beads, I use them for all sorts of stuff. You can just run a drink straw through here and bust it. If not that, you can take a skewer and do the same thing. But a drink straw does a pretty good job. Got that piece right out. It clears it out, but I'm going to show you another trick you can do with a drink straw in making these corks, and it might actually make it a little easier on you in some cases. Alright, so what you do, you just run this up, and like I made this a little bit too long. I had the other ones, they was a little bit too small. So you can just take it, get it to where it needs to be. I'll trim that just a little bit right there. Use a toothpick if you got any type of debris or whatever, clean it out. Okay. Heat that back up. Okay. Again, just making sure that all that's open. Nice and open. Cut this just a little bit. Make sure that's open. Barely get it hot. There we go. And then you can take and super glue this, and you got a through piece that will make sure that your line doesn't get stopped and guided through very easily. So that's the reason why I like that. And just kind of put a little bit right there to hold it in place. And a little bit right there to hold it in place. It's not necessary, it's an extra step, but if you have one that's extra dirty or something like that, like the pink one and the yellow one here, even though I've cleaned out the pink one pretty good, it's still got some issues. So I'm going to go ahead and work on these two. I'm going to leave this like it is because it is a little bit more finicky. But I'll be right back afterwards, and we'll get back to doing the next step on these. Now, if for any reason you're having a hard time seating it where it belongs and you want to make sure you got it seated right, you can always put a toothpick in the hole and then guide it with the toothpick. And that's what I'm doing here with this one. Another thing is sometimes with this process with the straws, you'll get like a little bit of a gap. And if you want to fill that gap, after you've done this part here, you can take a little bit of super glue and baking soda, and the super glue will cure the baking soda extremely fast and make it stronger than the actual super glue alone. I try not to use it too much with stuff dealing with water, but on these applications, it ain't gonna hurt a bit. All we're trying to do is make sure we got a good place for our line to go through. Once the line is through, if it breaks free, it's really not going to cause a problem because we'll have everything attached. Admittedly, coffee straw method is more tedious, more difficult. If you are using this type of leader material stuff, you don't have to worry about it. It's only a concern when you're using something like a light thread, braid or monofilament. What we're going to do now is we're going to run this line through this hole here. And this is where I was talking about, because this stuff will kink up a little bit. Alright, it'll take you a few times because this stuff will bend on you and kink on you. One of the things that you can do is if you have an opening big enough, again, this is just same size as that, but if I went with a size bigger, I could actually put the drink straw through the hole and ran it through the drink straw. So that's something to keep in mind. I was trying to keep it more affordable for everybody, but that is something. What's it worth to do 5-6 times, or just get a bigger screw or washer, pay a few cents extra and run drink straw through it. Now what we're going to do is put on some beads here. The only problem is if you go bigger, like I was suggesting, then you have to go bigger with your beads, and I'm trying to keep it cheap, so that's the other thing. This bead right here will be perfectly stopped by that hole there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few beads on just to do that. Like that. Then what we'll do is we'll come up here and get a bead. Get a big bead. Don't matter what size bead, as long as it, because this is going to be the top. Run it through. Okay. And then we'll get some swivels. So we'll open up this pack of swivels. Now what you do is run this through. And I'm going to do a uni knot. So what I'm going to do is take this. I'm going to run a loop around. And then I'm going to do about 4 or 5 loops around this. A uni knot's one of the few knots that you can do with braid and it not pull out. Braid is notorious for pulling out most fishing knots. There's a few, uni being one of the better ones to use with braid. So if you hadn't seen my uni knot video, it's called King of All Knots. Watch that video. I show in detail how to do the uni knot. All right. There we go. Like I said, you're not going to use all this. You just need a little extra room to do things. We'll leave about 1/4 of an inch just in case something does try to pull out, but it shouldn't. That should be nice and strong. And this is top. You can already hear that sound right there. That's that popping sound that you get from popping cork. For the bottom part of this, we want it to have a little bit more rattle. That'll become self-apparent in a second. So I'm going to put 4 of these glass beads on here. And then what I'm going to do is get some of the, we'll get a big bead, put that right there. I'll get me another glass bead, put that right here between the plastic bead, the big plastic bead and little bead. And you can put as many beads on here as you want. All that's going to do is help with the clacking. Alright, so now just so you can tell, alright, now what we'll do next is I've got a bullet weight, worm weight. We're going to run this through. If the hole's big enough, yep, barely big enough. Like that. And then we'll take one of our swivels, and oh wait a minute, I need to put another bead on because we got to protect the swivel. So we'll put a small bead on here to protect the swivel knot. Run this through. And what I'm going to do, make my uni knot. Tag end's a little bit too big, so I'm going to cut right here. Cut that away and use that for the next one. There we go. Just tightened up. There we go. Now, hear that sound? And as it's going in water, that weight will hit those beads and make it pop. And then that glass against that metal is making a click as well. And that will draw your fish. Let's look at the others. Okay, I wanted to talk about this because one of the things I didn't do was use a lot of these. And I mentioned that I bought that for this. So I did use it in one application, but I wanted to show you some of the issues with that. I also used some different weights. The reason for this is that you can use scraps, basically, and make a popping cork. This was a cork that I just bought. It was cheap. It's easy to get. Nothing special to it. Listen to that sound. That is that popping cork sound. Now, I did use a worm weight, and I used a pretty good size worm weight. I'm using glass beads on that metal washer, and that's making a lot of ticking sound, plus the glass beads hitting each other makes a lot of sound. Because you don't have anything, it's all open inside, it's acting like a sound chamber, and that's a good thing. You want a good sound chamber, because if you look at this one right here, it don't make as much sound. Alright? The reason why, it doesn't have a sound chamber. I filled all that in trying to get these on because the inside of it was messed up, and I wanted to use the little drink straw trick. I don't like using the drink straw trick unless I have to. I'd much rather just go straight through the cork if I can. And when you do that, you get that sound chamber and get a good sound. Alright? So, the other thing is that this cork is bigger than this cork. Alright? So you need to keep that in mind, which means that I can't use this type of weight on a cork this small because it'll start dragging it down. So if I have like a live bait or something like that, it'll start dragging down because the glass is heavy and then the lead weight is heavy. And you need that lead weight to carry the bait. Alright? So with that, go down on your weight a little bit. The line, you could use monofilament line, but monofilament line, it will wear away over time. Braid is much more resilient. Now, if you're doing it with the leader material, the coated leader material where you have the swivels and all that, and sleeves, and you crimp on the sleeves, you're going to have a much easier time. It's going to work very well for you. But braid works perfectly fine. Now, let's talk about the pony beads. Yes, I did use pony beads here. But I wanted to show you something. That opening is so big that it goes right over the glass. But it does make a great little protector. It doesn't make a lot of sound. It's not as dense as these fish and acrylic beads. Alright? So that's the other thing. You can basically, I just wanted to get them to show you can use whatever. If you got metal beads, use metal beads. I like the glass beads. And this one right here, even though I did use the little trick with the coffee stir, I did take a paper clip and I made sure I got it all cleared out. But it's not near as loud as this one right here that has nothing in it. That has got a totally different sound than this one. Alright, and then this one, of course, it's going to have more of a sound because it's bigger. You want to use the biggest cork you can get away with. So bigger is better in this circumstance. So if you can get big corks, get the big corks. A lot of the popping corks will have them where they taper off and they're cone shaped. You don't have to do that. I've used them where they had corks like this, and I've used the ones where they're kind of cone shaped. I've never been able to see a difference. Some people say it makes a splashing sound that you can attract fish better with. I'm not going to say that's necessarily the case. I've used them both and I've seen no difference. But all in all, not a bad little trick. And I've got 4 corks here, popping corks. And I didn't even spend the amount of money that it would take to buy 1 popping cork. Now, true, the one that was $11, it had a metal piece of pipe going all the way through the cork. But I've been to other places and they wanted near the same amount of money, but all they did was they had basically a harder plastic insert, harder than this drink straw here, and they just had a insert that was hard plastic, and that they were using plastic beads. They were not using glass beads. You can pay $20 sometimes for these things, and it's all glass beads or metal beads. I don't see a reason for it. You can use scrap, you can use stuff that's in your tackle box, stuff that you already got. Most anglers have braid. This is Power Pro. It's some cheap braid. It's 30-pound test, 8-pound diameter. What I'm trying to say is that you can use just a little bit of ingenuity. There's no reason why I have them in this order. I like to have more weight on the bottom of this than I do the top, but you can have as many beads, as less beads as you want. The more beads, I feel, the more sound. But you can play around with this and make it any way you want and fine tune it to a way you like to fish. And you can have a ton of these popping corks at a fraction of the cost you do from store-bought, and they'll work just as good. Just to show you how easy these are, I was getting ready for a fishing trip, and I found this old broken cork. I said, you know what, I don't have any more of the metal washers, but I do have the stoppers. I said, what can I do with that? So, I'm running this has got a hole through the stopper, and that's for using like a slip cork. Okay, so we're good there. I run all the way through. And then, if I take this and run this through another stopper that has a hole in it, remember me talking about the solid plastic that these things have? What did I just make? Made something very similar with stoppers I was going to just put away in case I needed extra or spare. There you go. In no time, out of scraps. No metal washers, no super glue, nothing. I used a scrap cork and made a popping cork. That's the thing with this. That's the beauty of this. You can use scraps and make this. They're too easy not to make. I don't know why people don't make them. They're just too freaking easy. And they work. That's the thing about it. They do work. So just another way showing you to make one. And like I said, you can make these any number of ways. You don't have to use the number of beads I use. I'm just trying to say general principle, how to use, how to make it, how to assemble it, and then you can mix and match and do as you wish. So what we have here is popping cork, and I've got about 3.5 4 foot long of monofilament, and then I've got a plastic shrimp, and what I did is I took a EWG hook and I've got it rigged through the tail with a hook coming out the head, and then cause that make it swim more natural that way. So I changed to a different cork because the weight was a little bit too heavy and it was dragging cork under. So that's one of the issues when you're using smaller cork. Gotta go with less weight. Guys, I just had a fish swipe at my thing. I think it was a bass. I didn't give enough time. I should have gave it a little bit of time, but let's see if we can do this again. Wind is howling. Something just got it. Got one. Oops. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Yeah, so I've seen these things. They tend to be about $10. You can get them cheaper. You can get them more expensive. So the other day I went to Dick's and they had a mark for like $1 or something. I was going to buy them. They said, no, it was a mistake. It was supposed to be like $11, $12, something like that. So I didn't buy it because I ain't doing that. But it had a metal tube running through it. So of course it would have fantastic sound. But like I said before, a lot of these, they just use hard plastic. It's all about the density of the materials. If you have really dense materials, they're going to make a clicking sound when you have other hard, dense items going against them. So, you know, glass beads against metal or against hard plastic is going to make your best sound. Dense, hard acrylic beads or metal beads will do similar. And as you saw in the video, we did have a bass strike. It was the only bass that struck that day. It was a rough day fishing, but proof of concept, fish actually hit on it. So I've used these. They do work. Braided line, it's cheap enough. If you have enough scraps and you accumulate little items where you're making these little DIY things, that you have enough scrap lying around, you can make them for next to nothing. And like here in Northwest Florida, fishing for redfish or a whole host of things, all it's doing is imitating the sound of some type of shrimp or whatever clicking underwater as it's swimming trying to get away. And it's triggering a bite. A bass hit because where I was fishing at, that's a area that a lot of freshwater and saltwater fish are found. That's something with Florida. But either way, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll use some of this that I brought to you. Try it out. Let me know what you think. If you do catch anything, I would love to hear about it. Please connect with me on Instagram. Share your pictures. I would love to see that. And with that, I'll see you again next time, guys. Bye.